if I pass out right here,
oh man,
you're
check
gonna
it
know.
if you have a bunch of elderberries,
You got lightning bugs. Another thing is fertilization is very important in the wintertime. This is a sun melter, and we actually put our wax here. And then all I do is I start working with my fingers. Just kind of massaging.
Look at all them black berries.
I'm losing them.
I'm losing them.
Well, you ready?
Yep.
I spent 24 years in the Army, combat engineers, artillery, supply, just about everything. Retired, went to work for Nanoplastics, and I spent 15 years there as an assistant manager, and now I'm back to farming. So here with Maybrit, and we have done elderberry, we do ginger, we do turmeric, we do a lot of fresh vegetables. We grow most everything we have here that we utilize. We don't have to get a whole lot. So but with that, I'll go ahead and start showing you some on the elderberry.
Okay.
If you take a look, our rows are set up on 10 to 12 foot spacing. This is the same spacing and everything, just like they teach Terry Durham and the good people out of Missouri, with Missouri University Extension and all the good people up there have done. There's some things, we don't run any irrigation. We do have a drip line, which we tried to do 1 or 2 rows that were looking really bad because we've been going through a drought.
Sure.
But we found out that the process that they use produces an abundant crop.
Wow. So you don't use any irrigation. You just let Mother Nature.
Mother Nature irrigates.
And I don't know if you guys can see on this video. You can probably make it out, but man, there are a ton of umbras going on over here.
And we have already pulled a pile. One pulling from this one little third of an acre. Maybrit and I pulled 318 pounds of juiceable berries.
From a third of an acre.
From a third of an acre.
That's ridiculous.
We've already pulled over 1,000 pounds.
Jeez Louise.
And we're not even through.
That's wild.
Very simple growing. Get your ground prepped. Once you go in and till it up, we use sustainable growing. I use chicken manure.
Okay.
So we get it by the load and we bring it in, and I put it out by hand. Got the ground prepped. Use landscaping cloth. We have found that there's 2 different ways that we've used it. One way is using a 2-foot section on each side of the bushes and leaving a 1-foot strip in the middle. Holds down your weeds so that your first-year plants can come on up. Another way that we've done is we've rolled it out, staked it down. I took a 5-gallon metal bucket with the hole burned in the bottom and took a torch and just cauterized it out, torched it out every 3 feet. Both of them work wonderful, but we have found with the rolling the 2-foot section really has done. And one of the things we found out, the deer don't like to step on it, so. We have a lot of depredation with elderberry, deer being one, and birds. And we have people ask a lot of times about the birds, and we just try to keep our birds fed so that they don't bother. So you
try to give them stuff other than your elderberry.
Correct. Very easy to propagate. So simple. You can just take a stem from them. You want to look at where the joint is. So you go down 2 inches below, cut it at an angle, pick it up at the next one above, cut 2 inches above, and you grab it right there and you stick it in the ground.
Really?
And
that you just stick it in
the ground? Just stick it in the ground. That's it. And walk away. So it's no root tone, no anything. We've planted all of these the same way.
That's nuts.
People get wrapped up about it's very simple. This is so easy. It's not even. It's stupid easy.
I think people don't realize, like here in South Carolina, for example, up in Greenville where I'm at, people will pay $60 for like a little 32-ounce bottle of elderberry syrup, but don't realize the fact that they grow like dandelion weeds here in the South.
Hey, they're in the ditches and everywhere.
I mean, I'll be driving down the street next to my house. Actually, a few days back, I pulled over on the side of the road, and there was just like an old industrial park, and they didn't care about, what's going on. So I just cut off probably 3-4 pounds of elderberries, took them home, and made some elderberries.
Well, they grow natural on every continent. It's just that there are very different subspecies of them. The only continent that does not have them is Antarctica, and when they get below the ice sheet, they'll find them. They'll find them. They'll start growing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Maybert has worked with them extensively in our shop. We actually went out to the Elderberry conference out in Columbia, Missouri, and met with all of them out there, and really good time. We actually had some growers that came from Australia.
Wow.
So they are actually growing.
They grow in Australia.
They're growing in Australia.
So you take these sticks, and you stick them in the ground, and then they grow.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You don't have to do anything else.
Basically, we fertilize. Everything we do for them is done in the dead of winter. When we plant these sticks, they're dead. The leaf structures fell off. We put them in the ground, and you would look at it and say, "Well, this is not going to grow." When spring hits, Mother Nature does her business, and they will come up. In the first year, you get a small blossom. The flower is actually more medicinal than the berry is, but the problem with the flower, once it's picked, it degrades really fast within 1 to 2 hours. So you got to put it in a stasis, either dry or frozen within hours. Berries a little different. We can process those, and then we can take them on in and put them in freezer, and then we can process into whatever we need whenever we need.
I see.
So, but the berries in themselves, as you can see, a lot of people would like to run down through those rows and just snatch them off, but we try to wait till they get right.
That makes sense.
Maybert's going to take you down and let you see how that we process, how we actually harvest.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
Right here you have a small head, but you can see they're pretty much all ripe.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is to take it and then break it.
Oh, okay. So you just take the whole head off.
Just take the whole head off and you just break it off.
All right.
When they still are in this, you see
So not all of them
they are
ripe?
not ready, and so I just leave this for the next go around.
Okay.
You can see all of those are already broken off.
Yeah.
We already harvest all of those. They were ready.
Wow.
And
So how long would you say from the time you begin harvesting to the time you're done? How long is that harvest window?
usually about 4 weeks.
A full week.
Oh, that's not too bad. So you got about 4 weeks of harvesting, and then
Yeah.
oh,
And
wow.
it just depends where you at. And then sometimes the
big one.
heads, like this one right here, is pretty much done. I
Yeah.
just pull this out a little bit. Now the green ones float when you wash them.
They do
And,
float, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can just wash them.
The stems,
Yes, and you scoop 'em
the
out.
stems and the bad berries, when we do our rinse that we do them through,
Man, that makes processing
they
easier.
they float to the top. We skim them off. So
Now, one thing you were
So-
telling me off camera, Mr. Phillip, is that that while you were saying that while the European elderberries are full of cyanide and you have to boil them for quite
Correct.
extensively before you can eat them, that these American elderberries have much less cyanide. Is that right?
well, I will show you
Okay.
if I pass out right here.
Oh,
then
man,
you're
check it
gonna know.
Can I try one?
Yeah,
I've
go
always
right
wanted
ahead.
to try a raw elderberry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay.
You'll see they have a earthy taste, but they are very medicinal.
All right. Let's see, guys. Let's see if I'm gonna pass out from cyanide.
You know.
Oh, they taste good. They taste like a blackberry that's slightly underripe.
Underripe,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Wow.
They have earthy taste. Make the perfect wine. I mean, they are awesome. It's a earthy
Yeah.
taste with more of a sweet to it.
Wow. Okay, so she's just going through looking for all the ones that are mostly full of blackberries.
Yes.
And not blackberries, but blackberries.
Blackberries.
Take them off the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to break off. You don't have to have scissors. You don't need to clip them. You just hold it and take it off.
Now, one question, and this is just out of my ignorance, So I know some plants, the way you harvest is important because of introduction of disease and that kind of thing. These are pretty hardy against that kind of stuff.
They are.
They are, and in the winter we're gonna cut them down.
Yep.
That's right. Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that process. With this field here actually had a mite. There's a mite that actually gets in, and I can show you. if you see on the inside structure, it's got a pithy inside.
Yep.
Well, what happens is that there is a mite that will get in them, and what it will cause is this. It will cause the leaves to wither up, and then your umbrals, as you can see up there, will gather up into a thing. Very, very simple fix. When we cut them back, you always start your cutbacks on the 3rd year. After the 3rd year,
Then you cut back.
you cut them back every year. There's 2 different cuts. We use either a 1-foot cut or either about a 4-foot cut. Now these, we did a 4-foot cut. You can see where every bit of this is this year's growth. It's not last year's growth. This is this year's growth.
Wow, I see. Because you can see the old stem.
So when we cut them back, being sustainable growers, we try to use everything with organic practices if we can. What we use is neem oil, which is a cold press oil, and we sprayed them about 3 different times on that raw stump.
After you cut it?
After we cut it, it soaks into that pith. And problem is just about solved. So next year when we go through again, we'll do it. There are also, there are some bugs. Missouri University has a really good website where they've shown the pests and they've done the research on it that have that depredate them. One of the things that we had problems with, especially in spring, you got to be very careful, is bugs will come in and they're oh gracious, trying to think of the name of them. But you can set traps for them all the way around your fields, and it pretty much stops.
Is it Japanese beetles?
Japanese beetles, that's it.
I know that they love stuff here in the Southeast.
Anything sweet, they love it.
Yep. Man, look at the size of these heads. That's crazy.
That's all.
And
yeah, these are some of the small ones.
Are they?
Yeah, we got some bigger than a 5-gallon bucket.
The ones that are growing wild by my house I was telling you about, the berries on those are tiny. Even though they're ripe, the ripe berries were smaller than these green berries.
There are different species.
Okay.
So we have some of them, they're really small. The heads are very small. Most of the time they have the green stems.
Yeah.
I don't see one right here.
Yeah, there's not one right here.
We have some down at the end of the road.
Wow.
And you can pull them. You don't have to, like sometimes if there's a lot of not ripe ones, I just break the outer ones off.
Oh, and then leave the rest of the...
Less of the umbral to ripen.
Oh,
and
wow,
the next time they come back, they're pretty much done.
See, that one's pretty much ripe.
Yeah.
It's ready to roll.
It's pretty much ready to roll.
That's a big one.
So...
Golly. I love how easy harvesting is. You just reach up and snap it off.
The harvest, what it is when you pull your wagon through, sometimes just go through like this and then...
Now, you ever have things where when you drop these berries that in a couple of years you'll see
they will come out, and that's one of the things that when we set it up on 12-foot rows, I take the zero-turn mower and run right between them, and keep the grass mowed. So anything anything that's popping up, we cut it down, and up under that's one of
those are really small.
Oh yeah, that's about how
compared to those.
Yep. That's exactly how.
And it's just another subspecies. But it's an American elderberry, but it's just another subspecies.
That's crazy.
But yeah, we keep it clean in between. Keeps your boogers out of it, so you don't have to worry about a snake running around on your feet. But
now we weren't able to cut the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, because the heads were so big they were falling down in between the rows.
With the turn mower, we would have cut off the heads.
Well, another thing that we do, and they do this in Missouri as well, is the flowers. When you go to harvest the flowers in early spring when they're coming out, it'll look like a big snowball out here. We work with the lower 20% of the flowers because those are normally the stems that's going to fall to the ground
and then get all
messed up. So we can take those flowers off. We can use them in our processing, and then the more power will be put to your upper bush.
That's smart. Because I was going to ask, because me personally wanting to start an elderberry farm, thinking about You know, I know you can do stuff with the flowers. Like, well, if you take all the flowers, then you don't have any berries.
Yep.
But that makes sense. So take the lower 20.
20, and the rest of it's gonna
It's going to get bigger and stronger. And the ones near the bottom aren't going to get all diseased and messed up.
Correct.
That's genius. Genius. Man, she's making light work of it too.
Oh, look here. Maybe one.
Now, when we harvested last Friday, or this past Friday, by one row, almost at the end, all the buckets were full.
Golly.
And they were packed.
How many
It's
pounds?
just 3 days ago, really.
Look at that. How many pounds of elderberries do you think makes like a gallon of juice?
That's the lady right there.
I would say about 40 pounds.
40 pounds makes a gallon of juice.
Yeah, about 40 pounds.
And then how many pounds do you think like one bush will produce?
They say the potential is 12 pounds
Okay.
for a bush, sometimes more. It depends how big they are.
Okay.
How many birds got some of their share?
True.
You can see how thin
ours
it is.
do anything like that.
Don't look like birds got some of those.
So, and
That's
the
what-
birds know what's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's funny.
So,
Yeah, we have so many people.
and you don't have to be afraid when you fall it down. If it breaks, it's okay. You just take them stems off and
You're mowing it down anyway, right?
yes.
We're gonna cut it back.
That's crazy. What do you use? Do you have like a bush hog that you use to cut it back?
Got a steel weed eater with a hedgerow trimmer on it, and throw it about waist high. And I walk down some of them, and then the rest of them, I've got a circle saw blade that goes on the steel, and go through, and I can just cut them down lower with the circle saw blade.
So you don't even need a.
Don't need a bush
old
hog.
bush hog or
Nope.
nothing.
You can. It's very inexpensive. We got one, and we just bought different attachments. And once we go through, then we can take the tops and put them off where we need them at, off to the woods, or either it's more potential for your stems can be sold for other farmers,
other cuttings,
cuttings for farmers to start their own fields.
That's awesome.
They're actually also very good for erosion control. A lot of people don't realize that the root structure is very shallow and it spreads. They like wet feet. So the most natural place to put these is on a hill that is water comes down. So you're going to end up with a product, and you're also going to end up with erosion control. And
You got my brain. Got my brain turning.
so there's a lot of uses that most people don't even think of these things for.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I'm thinking of in my mind, I don't even know. So, there's so much residential development going on.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the problems when you clear cut land and you do development is you have erosion around it. You got, big embankments, hillsides and stuff. My mind, I'm thinking, what if people let me plant elderberries?
You could take one stick every 3 feet and plant them in rows, and time they come out, the root system, it feathers out shallow, and it's looking for nutrients. Very little bit of fur. They like high nitrogen, so we put chicken manure to them, and it's what it helps them out so well. I put about a shovel full in between each one of them. These are actually planted on a 4 foot, but we've gone to a 3 foot length now.
Between them? Mm-hmm. Okay, it looks like 3 foot's doing pretty decent.
And these plants aren't but 3 years old, so you can literally, and the growth that's on them this year,
3-year plant.
3-year plant, and this growth that's on them with the leaves is this year's growth. It started time it got warm, started getting warm, and that's what shot up.
That is insane. Do y'all use any employees, or y'all do all this yourself?
You're looking at the employees. maybe it didn't Phil. That's Crafty neighbor.
I love it. That's funny. Oh man. Are these honey boxes back here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is our nursery apiary.
Oh,
Those
this is
are
for the
all
babies.
bees where we caught wild.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we don't buy any unless we need
Buy some
a queen, or we need one small hive, just 1 or 2 to add some difference into the hives.
Wow.
But we set traps. You can see one of them over in that on the top up there.
I see that over there.
And-
I'll get a close up over
And
there.
we catch our own bees.
And are they all honeybees?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And I'm
put
guessing
a
you use
couple
y'all's
of
honey
them.
for your syrup.
Yep.
Yes.
That's great. I love that.
Like I say, when you start looking at value-added product, you need to look at what you can grow, what goes into it, and can produce something of a quality nature. So, what better yet than to use our own native bees? Actually, honeybees aren't native to America; they came from Europe.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, our bees are actually very, very small, tiny bees, but they don't produce honey. So we do use the non-native bees.
Is it those little ones you'll see flying around?
Little ones you see,
Like a
and they're actually pollinators when they get. And funny thing about it, the honeybee is not actually a so-called pollinator of the American elderberry. One of the largest pollinators, and we have found this out just by watching and everything, is the lightning bug.
Oh, no way.
Oh yes.
So if you have a bunch of elderberries,
You got lightning bugs.
Yes.
You can ask maybe. We sit up in Tennessee one time and sit there and watch the lightning bugs in mass and knew right where elderberry was because when they went down, they went straight to the elderberry bushes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I love lightning bugs, so that's good to hear. Man, oh man.
I tell you something else that uses them, and Maybert and I have found this year, hummingbirds.
Okay.
Hummingbirds will come to it because of the flower, but they like the thickness of the umbel the way it is, and we found several hummingbird nests when we've gone to start picking berries that were already abandoned.
That's crazy.
And they were a little small, tiny nests.
Is this where you're talking about the...
Yes,
the
this is
liquid?
caused by the mite.
I see. You see that, guys? It's like it kind of just curls up at the ends. That's the mite he was talking about.
Yeah, and remember, failure is your friend.
So you gotta learn from
You got to learn from
it. And then, guys, if you can, I don't know if you can see. I'll try to zoom in real quick. But that's the bee trap, just sitting over there. He uses to catch his own honeybees.
Yeah.
That's what I call self-sufficient.
Well, let me tell you about honeybees real quick. I know you're doing elderberry, but honeybees, they look for hives or places to in the woods. One of the things that we don't do like we used to when I was growing up, we used to burn fields and burn woods.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what it did was it would burn out the center of an old tree and cause it to be hollow, and that was your primary area for honeybees to make a hive at. The trap that I set is very similar. What I do is take a 5-frame nuke, and that's what we call it, a nuke, and I torch the inside of it with a torch to mimic a burned out tree.
So they have the scent.
It have this scent, and then we take frames with old comb that we've pulled the honey from, put that in there, and then I take pure lemongrass oil, and I shoot it up in the top of the lid before I put it on, and I strap it down with a good strap so it won't come open, and I shoot it in the opening in the front, and then I mount it about anywhere from about 8 to 10 foot up on the side of a tree, always pointing towards the east. That way the rising sun coming up, that would be the first place they would be looking out. And when a hive out in the wild splits, they have a worker that's going to go out as a scout and looking for a place. Well, when it comes up on that, the lemongrass oil mimics the smell of a queen bee. So when it goes to check that hive out, and he's thinking there's another queen, another hive there, and then realizes not, then he says, well, they've been here before. And when they split and they start bringing the queen, they move in. Once I go around about every 2 weeks to check my traps, and I see that I've got activity and they're pulling in pollen, I know they've got brood. I've got to shut off on the front, and I just wait the dark, go turn it off, bring them back to our high aviary here where our nursery bees are, and we put them to work. We'll do splits, so we actually increase the population, because once they start producing brood, we look for 1 to 3 day old brood, and we actually move it over and let them produce their own queen, and we'll add to the aviary.
Guys, one of the things I learned this from doing a honey farm tour is that a bee is going to become what it's going to become based on what it's fed when it's a little egg sac. And so it can be fed one thing and become a queen, fed a different thing, become a worker, and a different thing, become a drone.
Yeah, if you find a queen cell in there, it'll be elongated, have royal jelly, and they'll put royal jelly in there, and you know that's going to be a queen. So we have to watch. Sometimes they'll get too packed in the box. They start producing another queen because they're going to get ready to swarm. So if we do, we just make another hive from it.
I see.
Let's catch up with Maybert. Yeah. She's on the move.
So how much would you say it costs you guys to grow, like maintain either per acre, per hedgerow, however you calculate it? Like what kind
So
of hard
we
costs go into it?
I think the most expensive thing what we have in here would be the landscaping cloth, and you can see it right here.
Right.
Oh, the black landscaping fabric.
Yeah, I was very smart.
Okay.
Past winter, I let my chickens in here,
Ah,
and this year raked it from my pier all out. So this, and I didn't get to rake all of it back off. But you
okay.
can, when you look down the road, you will see elderberries are red.
I see.
They will come up in the middle of the road.
Oh my gosh.
We should cut them down.
Okay.
Because you need to have space, if not, you have a jungle.
Yep, and then you can't even get in there to do
So
anything.
this is the main one. Another thing, do not buy any landscaping cloth, but it's biodegradable. I've done that mistake.
Yeah. We put a whole acre in biodegradable.
And it biodegraded.
And 30 days later, it biodegraded.
If I had degraded, I was like, somebody came and
Stole all of our landscaping cloth.
No, it was biodegraded.
I mean, it literally
So,
completely
what kind of-
disintegrated. Another thing is fertilization is very important in the wintertime.
Okay.
Coming up into the spring, we have some of our fellow growers that are able to have a manure spreader because they do and they spread right down through the middle of the row. Well, your root system is going to catch that fertilizer. We don't have a manure spreader other than myself and Maybrit. We got a shovel and a front end loader on a tractor. So when we go in, we put about a shovel full in between each plant, and we go around the plant right at the bottom.
Okay.
And what is in here is actually on the landscape cloth. So you kind of got to think of it, when it rains, it actually filters that nitrogen slowly over the whole spring and summer. They'll get a good jolt up around the bottom, and it really works for us. It's just more labor intensive. So you got a couple of different ways. Now, if you go with commercial fertilizers, you want to use something like a 19-19-19, something that's going to be a little higher.
Okay.
But you don't want to put a lot down. You just, just a handful. That's why we stick with more of an organic, sustainable grown, because doing it, if you let your chicken manure sit up in the woods in a pile and let it season for about 6 months, you won't have any trouble with it.
Okay.
If you use it raw, straight out of your coop, you're gonna burn stuff. It's gonna burn it bad.
Too much nitrogen.
Too much nitrogen.
I see. Interesting. Okay, so, that's what I was asking is what do you think, like, what should someone expect to spend to get, let's say this patch right here. If somebody just had this much land to spare, you said it's about 1/3 of an acre, how much should they expect to spend on the low end and the high end to establish an elderberry patch like this?
Maybe.
On the low end, $300.
Oh wow, for this much elderberry, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
On the low end,
On
and
the
it
low
would be you wildcraft all your own sticks.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So you wildcraft them
You
and
go
then
and-
put them in the ground. So
Okay.
you want to watch the elderberry bush maybe one season and see what kind of heads they have on it.
Figure out maybe what
Maybe
type
what
of...
their height they are, and how they're ripen.
Okay.
And so there's different things what you look for. What like do they inward, downward, so they have less bird depredation.
Okay.
Or they just stand straight up the whole time. And then
Is there-
so
is
if
there-
you can go ahead and harvest your own elderberry sticks, all you really have to buy is landscaping cloth.
Yep, because you said you don't even really need irrigation here.
And we don't really need irrigation. If you need to put irrigation in, you need to decide what kind you're gonna do. Missouri has tried different ones, and they told us this year they're gonna go to a new system, but the irrigation is above ground, to like a foot above ground, and they have just a little sprayer on going downward for those plants. They found the irrigation in the ground. When it breaks, they have to rip everything up.
I see.
It's much more cost effective.
Yep.
So, if you have to buy your sticks, just think where you buy them from. Some of them is $3 for $10. So, and you can figure it out if you buy 3 for $10.
That can get a little pricey.
In this field right here is a third of an acre.
Probably $1,000 in sticks.
It's about 500 plants.
Okay, yeah.
500 to 700 plants, just depends.
That's a lot.
You can plant up to 1,800 plants in one field.
Really?
We didn't know at the time, but you can plant them every 2 foot.
So you can go up to 2 feet as far as in the
Spacing,
same row between
in the
each
same
plant.
row. But you definitely want to have your
10 to 12 feet.
12 foot is better.
12 foot better, okay. Is this a 12-foot row for people?
This is a 12-foot
visual
row, but you can
reference? Okay.
see a lot of them are coming in so far. Like this one right here is not.
Oh yeah, you didn't plant that, huh?
No, it's a runner.
Yeah, he just sprouted up out of the middle.
Yeah, and over winter I'm going to pull all them runners back out.
I see.
And
That
I
way
just
they're not
keep 'em.
sucking energy from the main.
Not the energy. I want the space.
Work, yeah.
I want the space to work.
Because these will just get out of hand if you let them be, right? And they'll just
Oh, yeah.
encroach
And
into
I,
one big thicket.
When you come around the other side, you will see that.
What are these black bugs that keep landing on me? Are those stink bugs?
The stink bugs are green.
Yeah, you-
Black bugs is a little bit a different kind of species.
Oh,
They don't bite.
Okay, yeah,
It's
so I
just
haven't bit me
aggravating.
yet, but
They're sure aggravating.
the first
Hey.
one jumped a little bit.
Hey, our state bird is the mosquito. Wait till you get back in the back.
I'm holding it in. But I have 13 bites on my legs every What is that? You got bug spray? You might
Yeah.
spray some?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Now that's one that we make here.
Yeah.
It's all natural.
All natural.
Yes.
That keep the
No seams.
no seams away from
You-
your
sand
legs,
gnats?
and they keep sand gnats away from your face. So I use it to spray my hand and go around my face. Mm-hmm.
And we've you don't have any DEET or anything in there.
No,
Nothing, all natural.
it's all natural. You can take it deer hunting and the deer don't even smell it if you go deer hunting.
Really?
Yeah, it's all natural.
That's crazy. Is it tick resistant?
I have not tried it with ticks, but
Okay.
I did. They don't usually bother me, so
Okay.
Yeah, they don't bother me too much. I had 2
You had 2
this
ticks?
year.
That's my biggest concern when I'm out in the woods, because, man, I don't want to get the stinking, what is it called?
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease.
Yeah. I know it's not super common, but
Yeah.
It's not.
Don't worry. We have critters around here. The other night, maybe had me working with chickens, and I got bit by a possum. So
did you really?
yeah, he put his teeth through my thumb.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But like possums do not carry any rabies.
They don't carry rabies.
They carry rabies?
No,
Well, that's good fun.
it's a
Yeah,
lucky thing.
it was a lucky thing.
Raccoons are the ones that carry rabies, right? Okay.
Yeah, and they can get really mean sometimes.
It's funny because raccoons look cute and possums look like they're from the pit of
Oh
hell.
yeah,
I'd look cute.
don't want
Let me
to.
tell you, they stink to high heaven.
Yeah.
Because we already caught 3 of them, and I don't want to kill them. So I put the first one in the back of my car. Sticky fingers in there.
Oh, man.
And they will hiss. But we transported him 5 miles down the road and let him go down there in the wooded area. And the other 2 went in the back of the truck. But
what?
we did rehome them because they were killing some of my chickens.
And maybe it wouldn't even get out and help me turn that poor little old raccoon loose.
But this thing is mean.
Mean.
So
Yeah,
mean.
they're raccoons are some little gangsters. I had one when I was on base
Yes,
one day. I took my trash from my dorm room out to the trash pit or whatever, and I threw it in the dumpster. And this raccoon jumped out of the can or the dumpster with my trash bag. And then I was like, I was trying to scare it off. Hey! And he just looked at me like, "What are you gonna do about it?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
That's right.
all right, bud, that's your trash."
Maybe I think we got a few right yonder, and then we'll be done.
So are these what they looked like when you first planted?
That's it. Those were some we put in. Those didn't take. It was too dry down here on the end.
Okay.
And they were put in too late in the year. These have already taken. We've already taken the, actually you can see where we broke the flowers off of them.
You can see
Okay.
this one's taking.
So that's growing.
This one beside it. This one is not.
I see. Okay, so you literally just stick it in there.
That's it.
Wow.
And this one is taken. There's roots.
Do y'all
And
do
those
any
don't
kind
have
of
roots.
tilling when you're prepping a row?
We run the tiller. We've got a big one that can run behind the tractor, but you can use a small one.
Okay.
These were
soil?
actually put in one hole at a time. All I did was have a little Manis tiller, a little small one, and just did one little spot.
And May would come next year, but I'm going to just redo that.
I see. And then, okay, so you'll come through with a tiller, but once you do it once and you establish the plant, you don't till again until that plant's dead and you restart in the row.
25 years, you can start back over again.
Do they a bush will last 25 years?
That's the research that we got out of Missouri.
Of production?
Of production, 25 years.
Okay.
So it's an investment that, as long as you maintain it, you can't walk away and not maintain some. I mean, your house will fall down if you did. But you know, we go through, we do trimming, we do fertilization, we'll put new wood chip down if it needs it.
Okay.
And right at this point, really, the wood chip is working as an aesthetic to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Because once we get a layer in there that's holding that moisture down, it served its purpose.
I see.
And
once they establish the root system, then the mulch shouldn't do anything anymore.
Not doing anything.
Do you apply that chicken manure every year?
Every year.
Okay.
Yep. And you want to do it during the dead of winter, just before the spring, because you don't want them kicking out new growth. Because once those roots, those feeder roots, they start pulling that nitrogen. If you get a warm day like it is here in the low country of South Carolina, they'll take off.
Okay.
We have found, dealing with the plants, we've got some from West Tennessee, and we actually call it our Tennessee. They've got some of the cuttings up in Missouri now working in the fields out there and see if it's going to be established that meets the criteria. Most people don't realize that the criteria that's being established out there is really for farmers. And the reason they got their name is so they do a genetic testing on them so they know which cultivar is which, and it meets certain criteria such as farmability, where it looks at a head that is large, ripens all at one time, inverts down so that it holds bird depredation down. So those are the guys, and once it meets those simple criteria, they give it a name. For instance, they got one named Pocahontas, Bob Gore, Adams. Adams is one of the older ones. There was an Adams 1 and an Adams 2. They lost one of them, so they think they both just kind of come together. We have those growing on the other side over here. But our Tennessee, these are all from Tennessee, but they're actually all different cultivars that we brought back with us. And we've got one on the other side, and we found out that a lot of the cultivars carry the genetics from the place, and it's more of a weather genetics, I see, because we brought those from West Tennessee, and those particular ones put on their berries in August, whereas our ones that are more natural in this area put on their berries in July. So we actually, by planting two different cultivars like that, we extended our growing season by 2 months.
See, that's cool, because it's funny you mention that, because one of the things I noticed, remember I told y'all, is there's some that grow wild up by my house, and I picked some berries off of them. And everything I was reading online was saying that the berries come in mid to late August. But these, I mean, it's the end of July, and the berries are almost overripe now.
Right.
And so I was wondering what was up with that. So
well, we also, Maybert and I found out something this year. Even distance in a growing zone actually makes a difference as well. We've got the other fields over on our Indiantown farm, and we've already finished picking over there. And we've been picking for that was 3-4 weeks ago?
We started the end of the first week in July.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so that is completely done, and then this kicked in afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and it's not but 16 miles difference between here to there, and literally you can't tell the human difference, but plants can. Yeah, so just a small amount of distance from one place to the other, they can ripen different speeds.
That's interesting. Wow. Very cool. I'm trying to think. Man, y'all have answered a ton of questions for me. This is super helpful.
So, as a small farmer, your money comes in from where you added products.
Okay. So you're not going to make your money from these raw berries.
If you pick them raw like that, say you have an acre of elderberry fields, you probably can pick 3, 4, maybe 5,000 pounds.
Okay. That's a lot.
Just depends how old. The first 2 years you don't make much.
Sure.
But then the third year they will really kick in.
Okay. One of the things I was looking at to try to get started with before we're able to find our land and get a elderberry field established and all that is I was looking at, okay, can I make elderberry syrup and at least get a brand established? You know, just doing that before I start growing.
You can. You will need to have a dehydrator kitchen.
So you do have to have it. You can't do
You
it. Doesn't
do have
cottage
to have
law.
a dehydrator kitchen where you're going to process your elderberry syrup.
Okay. So
Right
here's
now,
one
right
thing.
now we're doing it somewhere else, but soon we will do it on the farm.
Okay.
My dehydrator kitchen hopefully be done by the end of the year.
One of the things that was kind of weird about, I was looking into it, and their DHEC's definitions are interesting, because it was saying that So I think no, elderberry syrup doesn't qualify for cottage food law, because then they'll say it's a too high of a risk to do in a home kitchen.
And what it is you also have to take a processing class, how to process foods.
Like a food safety sanitation
like a food
class.
safety, everything. Got to come with it. Even with us, we have a food safety with those. We have to wash them, desanitize them, wash them 3 times, bag them and get them in the freezer.
I see.
It's not like you just can go ahead and pick them and
just do your thing.
And do your thing. There's different processes you have to go through. You have to log it. You know, how many pounds you harvest a day, which farm, because we have 2 farms.
I see.
And then I also log onto it which area I picked it off the farm.
Oh, wow. That way, in case there's some kind of
if there's
outbreak of something.
anything gonna go wrong. I am very small.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff is all sold dehydrated. So I make a little bit of syrup, but when families come, and I will tell them, I said, you are much cheaper to buy the kit, especially when you have 2 or 3 children, because you can make so much more with it.
I see.
You know, if you buy 4 10-ounce bottles, it's $90-some, or if you buy a kit with the honey and the straining bag for $44,
make the same amount
and
of
you make the same amount of money.
Yep.
You know, you can buy 2 of them packs and you make twice as much. 8 times as much.
8 times.
And then you have more uses for it, because you can actually take, once you squeeze your juice out, you can take that and turn around and make a chutney.
Oh, yeah.
Stir it up,
sauce.
it moves it, and then you can also turn around and add more water and boil the heck out of it and make jelly. Elderberry makes a very good jelly.
Really?
For home canning, if somebody's wanting a really good jelly, elderberry is, and you just squeeze out your juice and do your regular processing with it.
A lot of people love elderberry jelly.
Yeah. We made.
I made it. It goes against my principle.
Because
it has sugar in it.
The sugar in it is very bad for us.
Just that pure white cane sugar.
Pure white cane sugar is it's not good for us, because it clogs up our arteries, and if you eat too much of it, it's not good.
Yeah, it gives you diabetes and everything.
Every 3rd person in the U.S. just about has diabetes.
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
And you can, unless you have type 1 diabetes, you can get rid of it within 4 to 6 weeks.
You just got to change your diet.
Change your diet.
I mean, our sugar, we do feeders for our bees. That's where our sugar goes.
Oh, wow.
I tried something out and it bounced down.
So this is sugar in here?
Yes, actually, we got to refill them, but this was actually sugar. You see wasps flying around. But the bee...
Oh, yeah, sugar water, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sugar water. And
the bees come and feed from on our side.
I see.
And by doing it this way, instead of putting the feeders on the hives, it keeps the pest away from the hives.
That way
and
the pests aren't seeking the hives, they're seeking it either.
That's it.
Yes.
Smart.
And they won't rob each other.
They won't rob each other, the bees.
Roaring colonies.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So this field today didn't have as much anymore. This is this 3rd go around in here.
How would you say is the market for elderberry product? Like if someone were to grow 10 acres, could they sell it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there is a strong market for it.
Oh, yeah.
There's just not enough farmers.
I have
enough
people
farmers.
call me if I have dehydrated elderberries. I will take 3,000 pounds.
Oh my goodness!
At $30 a pound.
We had a guy call us while we were on the road from Mississippi, wanted 2,000 pounds, and we just didn't have them.
Right.
So we referred him over to River Hills Harvest, and because they've got a huge underground storage facility that they use.
They harvest,
and they do it work as a co-op. They have center. What they set up the state was they got center processing areas, and each small farmer comes in and brings theirs, and then the company buys, and then they distribute out like that.
That's
and
actually smart.
It's smart. They have worked it up really well. Maybert and I are kind of like on our own. We're all on the process there.
You're way out here in Lake City.
Way out here in Lake City in the middle of nowhere. But
hey, we just got our street signs.
Yeah, we just got street signs down there on 52. So
y'all come up.
we give it up.
It took a year. I mean, you have a process with it too.
Yep.
With the DMV and everything.
For the street sign?
To have them on the main road.
That's funny.
You cannot just put a sign out there.
Yeah. No, you can't just do anything nowadays. Nowadays, got 300 check
You pay
marks.
another $100 maintenance every year.
Lord have mercy.
Just to get the process and everything done was about $800. But we hadn't spent the money. We already had 15 people come by, and they were like, we had no idea there's an elderberry farm down here.
Wow.
There's a lot of people from town
Yeah.
who say, I just heard about y'all.
Well, and then if you don't know what to look for, I feel like most people have no idea what an elderberry bush looks like.
Yes.
And so they would see this, even on the side of the road, and just assume it was a weed, you know?
Well, we have a lot of our harvest host people that come in here. They're camping from all over the world, come in here. And the first thing they want to do is say, well, that's the elderberry. And then when we start explaining, they say, well, we saw it on the side of the road down here. Yeah, it's on the side of the road. I mean, you can look over here. This is one of the smaller ones up front. See how yellow looking it is? And then next to it, and it's got green stems. And next to it's got red stems. That's one of the ones that come from Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
And and you can actually look down the row and you can tell the difference in the different varieties by the color.
Lighter colored leaves, taller plants,
wider leaves.
Yeah.
But
these are skinny.
Right, and they're all Sambucus canadensis.
That's funny.
And then when you look down this
That is so funny.
Here, you can see how close they come in on this road.
Oh, yeah.
You
Even though
barely
it's only
can see
12
the
foot
end.
wide.
It's 12 foot wide.
And we got
It's 3 foot wide.
about 3 foot wide left. Hey, I'll show you something right here before you go down.
Oh, yeah.
In our processing, we do different things, but nothing goes to waste around here at Crafty M.L. Okay, so when we harvest our honey from our bees, a lot of the comb will be older comb, and I'll take it and scrape it off and put new foundation. We just don't throw the old wax away.
Okay.
So what we do is we came up with this. This is a sun melter, and we actually put our wax here, is filtered with a paper towel, and then it actually runs down and it goes into here. And then once it does, I put a fresh paper towel, put it back in there, and it melts the sun and heat melts it.
That is genius.
It takes time. The problem with the world nowadays, they want everything now.
It takes time, but doesn't take your energy.
Correct.
Wow.
And we don't add in our labor. I mean, labor is something that we do every day.
That's a scarce resource.
That's a scarce resource.
The sun is not a scarce resource.
No, it's free and very simple, and it just all is a piece of plexiglass.
And then so this is just old honey.
That's old beeswax. And once I get this pan filled up, I just turn around and pop it out, put a new base in here, and let it refilter, and it's pure wax.
That is so crazy.
It can be used in salves, chapsticks, candles, everything, and it's all fresh.
Gene, and you came up with this?
Actually, Maybrit had an older one over here, and then we just modified it a little bit at the time. But it's so simple. I mean, that
is genius.
And when I get my old wax in a 5-gallon bucket, I'm sitting there cleaning hives. I just pop it in there, and then walk off, put the lid on it, and put that on to keep the wind from blowing it off. And the sun comes out, and it just heats it up, and then I
You
just
got a bunch of wax.
got a bunch of wax, and then I'll
Filtered and ready to go.
and we also take that old wax when we get it. If it's not pure enough for Mabert to use, then what we do with it is I'll take it back out there and it's recycled back into the hive, because when I put new foundations on my frames, I can take a roller, melt the wax, roll it on. It takes, and don't hold me to it, but it takes away approximately 8 quarts of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So if I can add a base of wax, I've increased my production in a hive by 8 quarts.
All right.
So
Now,
this is the elderberry process.
this is the elderberry process. Okay. And we actually went out to Missouri. It's been about 5 years ago when we picked up our destemmer. The destemmers are made, they're American made, they're made of stainless steel. They come from River Hills Harvest, which is based out of, I think, Columbia, Missouri.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, excuse me, 3 years ago. And we've had such good success, we've basically promoted them because we know it works. Because we used to, in order for Mabert and I to pull off 1 pound of elderberry, it took us 1 hour of hand work.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I'm going to show you. This is the bottom half of the destemmer.
Okay, so that catches the berries.
Yeah, it catches the berries, and plus it's sanitized. Okay?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, this is actual destemmer that goes on top. Very simple. It's not I mean, the design
Simple.
is simple. Water can get through here. Any sediment or trash can go through here and in the corners. So this is going to be your wash basin. This is going to be your distilling basin right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and this is a bucket, elderberries, maybe just big. And as you can see, now the key to this thing is your stem. Stems up, just like that right there. So I'm going to put the umbels down, just like that. And they go right in there just like that. Now I can stack this thing up right on, but most of the time I'll put about a half a 5-gallon bucket in there.
Okay.
And then all I do is I start working with my fingers. Just kind of massaging it. And you're going to see in a minute, it don't take long versus pulling each individual berry off of this thing. And this is a whole lot better, because when I was working public work, I would get off work, pick elderberries, come back, and then Mabert and I would sit to 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and pull one berry off at a time.
Oh my goodness.
So now when people start thinking about farming elderberry or anything, you've got to put the effort in. Because effort in is effort out. Okay? If you're not willing to put it in, then it shouldn't be done.
Okay.
You see it going down.
Yeah.
And what through friction and just basically bumping up against each stem, very simple. It's crustal, learning in school. I mean, some people aren't school. Going down. And as it goes down, show you in just a minute. I want to try to make sure I get other things. And a lot of people get really upset. Well, I'm losing some berries. Well, if they're not wanting to roll off the stem, they're not really white. Okay? And what we found is they'll end up coming off in the float wash anyway. So once I get to the point, I'm pretty much sure that that's going to be all that can be done with them. Then I'll just take it. And I usually rub it one more time. And that half a bucket is now reduced to this.
Goodness.
Okay? And I just throw it over there because the chickens will get the rest of that. Right. And there's your berries right there.
So what you have there is about twice as much as I handpicked off of that wild bush near my house.
Yeah.
And it took me and my oldest daughter, she's 5, so I was having her help. It took us about 45 minutes to handpick half of that off the stem.
Right. And and there's not a lot of automated equipment. If you're considering growing elderberries, there's no combine. Okay? You can only do everything on hands-on. But this piece of equipment, now they also have a thing they call it the SIDS, is a elderberry destemmer that is automated. It's basically a shaking cable.
Oh yeah.
They've developed it, and it works for a we're on the cuff of that. Actually, we thought about it.
Thought about maybe
investing in one. But Maverick and I, we can. It's a small operation.
You just made light work of that.
Oh yeah, that's
That was 1 minute, maybe 70 seconds.
That's it. And some of them, the earlier you pick them in the morning, the easier they are to come off. When you get berries that have sit there in the hot sun during the day on the bush, then they tend to want to hang on a little hard. So you end up losing some berries.
They're trying to hold on to that water.
That's right. They're trying to hold on to that water. But you can see, I pile that in there, and all I'm doing is I'm just moving my fingers.
Let them kind of rub against each other in the great spot.
Great spot.
Crazy. I see you using gloves. I imagine if you don't, your hand can.
You'll be purple from one end to the other.
You are.
You can probably see around here on the floor some of them is fell. We stomped on.
Oh yeah.
They'll dye everything purple. So it's a natural dye. You could actually take this and render it down and tie-dye a t-shirt with it.
That's crazy.
But it's all natural dye as well.
So.
And that's actually part of the medicinality of it, because the darker the berries tend to be more medicinal.
That's what I hear. The compounds that go into making a berry dark, or the compounds that happen to get to it.
That's it.
You guys, one of the things that are listening, everybody listening and watching, one of the things we talked about a little bit before was that elderberries have actually been clinically proven to be antiviral. Not just, like naturopathic stuff makes claims, and some of it hasn't been validated because the FDA won't spend the money to validate it. But elderberries is one of the things that money has been spent to validate it, and sure enough, well, the science showed that it's antiviral. Obviously, we're not doctors. Get your own doctor, clinician, so on and so forth. But, yeah, that's just something to know. You're listening.
There you go, Miss Maverick. Now you can walk over there and get it in the wash process.
All right.
So there we go.
Put some over here.
So then, this is our water. We have it sanitized in the first basin.
Okay.
Sanidate, and then we have to check the pH on it. And then we wash it. Put in there, you can see how it starts floating.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also put my hand in there.
Give it a little stir.
Give it a little stir.
All the gunk you don't want just floats right onto the
Pretty
top.
much, I would say 90% of the gunk will offload. And then you just, all this going to go to our chickens. I try to get most of it out. I've seen the big farmers that go with the big scoop twice and that's it. I'm a little bit more finicky about it.
Yeah.
But we are a small operation, so.
Sure.
And I must say, since I started my own business in 2017, every year my revenue went up.
Really?
Well, my first year I only made about $5,000.
Okay.
So the second year I made more than when I worked before.
Oh, wow.
And from there on up, now I'm making what I've done in 5 years, 7 years.
Per year?
Per year.
Wow. If you don't want to share, that's fine. But if you don't mind me asking, what
You can go into the 6 figures.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And maybe more because I'm growing now 80% of my own food.
Yeah.
So if you figure instead having a $800,000 food bill every month to pay,
it might be like $150.
No, we run about 300. So we 700 in the plus.
Yeah.
But that's $8,000.
That's true.
A year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Wow. Golly.
And we live good.
And that kind of revenue is coming out something. It's not a huge operation.
No, it's a family operation. It's us. And plus, it's not just us feeding our daughter. Kids food. Sometimes I have people that are like, hey, can I help you with something? And we can trade.
Yeah.
So we do some horse trading. And this is fine. if there's a family that are in need for some food, I will go out there and pick 3-4 baskets full of food and bring it to them.
Wow. How particular do you have to be with the stems? Do you have to make sure
You don't, because they're going to be juiced.
Okay.
And the ones I freeze dry for my elderberry kits are hand picked. I'm very particular about that. I don't want any stems in there.
In your kits.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And you can see this is the second float.
Yep.
And there's more. And even though when I first started this, I was like, look at all them black fairies.
I'm losing them.
I'm losing them. And I was like, you don't, because they're not choosable.
Right.
They're not right.
And so with the chickens, think about this. They're eating elderberry. Our chickens have no inoculation. We don't give any kind of anything other than the feed that we feed them. And they're healthy. They grow of old age.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Literally, when they die, they're on the roost and fall off.
Wow.
I mean, after 5-6 years. I mean, where else you gonna find a chicken that lives a life that's that long?
Yeah.
And they're
8
the
years,
eggs that come
10
off of them that we
years.
get, our eggs are really healthy.
Oh man. Golly. Y'all make me excited just being here. I'm excited to get something started.
And it doesn't take you don't have to jump out there and play big pile.
Sure.
A
We
little
won't
bit
leave them sitting in here because those are already washed.
Okay.
And then from there, I put them right now in 2-pound bags. And I'm not worried about all the
stems.
The little
This is all
stems.
juiced.
Right.
But on my bags, I always write down what it is, which farm, Lake City Farm, and then the date.
Okay.
Because I need to record that. That way I know when I harvest it and where.
Yep. And then you just bag them up and freeze them?
And I freeze them.
Okay.
And actually, when you freeze the elderberries, they're kind of bust open.
Makes
And-
juicing easier.
Much easier.
Correct.
I like it. Man. How many freezers do you guys have to
We actually had to go buy 2 more freezers.
Yeah.
So it was some expense we weren't expecting.
Sure.
Those mountains so this year. We had to actually go get 2 more freezers.
So, and then I bag them up. I have my little basket sitting here because the 2 new freezers been in the old house over there.
Okay.
And
Oh my goodness.
you can see right here, this is all berries. And we have 3 of them.
Wow. 3 of these freezers?
Yes.
Are these flowers?
And those are elderflowers.
Wow. Look at
And
that.
there are some elderflowers behind those.
Goodness.
So all this, and this is 2 rows.
Jeez.
So that what you see in the front is behind the 2.
Wow.
So it's also crucial to have a backup plan. So down here we have hurricanes. So what do? We have a generator.
Oh yeah, because you have
So
a power outage.
you have a power outage, and you got to keep your cash crop so it's safe.
Yeah.
So if something like that happens, another thing that we've done with our freezers, and these actually are more self-sustaining, but a lot of times what we'll do is we'll take gallons of water, stick them in the freezer, let them freeze hard, and then if the power does go out, you've got several more days that you've
Oh, just because that energy's
that energy's being
gonna suck up the heat.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll melt the water in the jug, but the coolness will keep it at that certain temperature as long as you don't open the door.
That's smart.
So that way it gives you a little wiggle waggle,
Little breathing
back,
room.
a little breathing room.
And they got a cool piece of equipment back here,
Yeah.
guys. This is one of those fancy new freeze dryers.
Yep. And
These things are not cheap either.
this is the cover that goes over the front.
Okay.
This actually plugs in there. The trays go in here in the front. It has a heating pad that's in here where it actually has to heat it to bring it back. It's got a vacuum pump, just like probably used with air conditioning to vacuum things down
Okay.
over here on the side. So what it does, it brings it down to an extremely low pressure under extreme cold.
Okay.
And it pulls the water. When it's done, it's crunchy. It's amazing. When it pulls so hard, what it does, it'll actually pull the natural sugars from whatever you're doing, and they'll look as foam. And one of the funny things that happened to us, we did some cayenne peppers, and I looked and I said, man, I didn't know cayenne peppers have sugar.
in them.
And I grabbed up and let me tell you something. That's the hottest sugar you ever laid in.
So sweet and hot.
It make you want to rub your head in the ground like
Oh
a dog.
my goodness. crazy.
But
How long does it take to freeze dry that?
5 days.
5 days.
Oh, wow. So just that little batch will take 5 days.
Yes. And they're pre-frozen.
Okay.
That's another key thing. If you're going to use one, you pre-freeze before you go.
5 days? So
Sometimes it's done in 4 days, but most of the time it's 5 days. And I have 2 pounds per tray. So it's 10 pounds of berries.
Okay. 10 pounds in 5 days.
Yeah.
So that's not something you could use to do like a high volume. You need to...
They make a high volume.
They make a bigger one than this now. And it's about $1,000 more. And I think you can do almost twice as much.
So like 20 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's still not a ton of berries. Like,
It is. It is. So if I show you... Come on with me. Excuse my mess. Well, I'm behind putting stuff up. I have still onions sitting on the ground. This is just one shelf of our own stuff. We have freeze-dried or dehydrated. So you can see this is like freeze-dried horseradish.
Oh, wow. Oh, so do you guys use that mostly for your own stuff? Not for...
No, I use that also for my fire cider.
Okay, but not for like elderberries.
No, not elderberries.
Okay.
But it is an elderberry fire cider.
Okay.
We also grow our own goji berries there over there on the other side.
Ooh.
And so I have them in the freeze. And this is just regular peppers from last year. Those are jalapeno peppers, actually.
That's cool. Now,
I freeze-dried them.
Rehydrate. When you rehydrate them, do they get similar texture?
They're pretty much the same texture as
way.
before. You can lay it on a plate and just spray it with water. And within a couple of minutes, they're rehydrated.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
So in here, grandbabies, we store honey in 5-gallon buckets.
Oh, wow.
This is from this year's pool. Right here is our dehydrator.
Okay.
And this dehydrator, I have 30 pounds in here.
30 pounds of elderberries?
30 pounds of elderberry. Each pack, and you can see they're almost done.
Yeah.
So what I do have to do is after this, and it takes about 5 days.
Okay.
After the second day, I move the top trays from top down and the down up. Those were really moist yesterday and they're almost dry. And those are pretty much ready to go.
Okay.
So by this evening, I will pull them off. And then also look, if there's still some stems in there, I pull them out.
I see.
And then, just like with everything else, you gotta have batch numbers for your stuff. So I have them on here. This is what we did this far. Dehydrate. I put on how many pounds is in each jar.
Okay.
And this batch usually 1, 2, and that's the third one. This is the fourth one. So usually it's around 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 pounds of 30 pounds.
Okay.
So you can say about 6 to 1.
Wow.
So this is why elderberries, when you have dehydrated, is more expensive than they're fresh.
That makes sense. So each jar is like 1.5 to 1.8 pounds
Yes.
dry, but 6 pounds fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And I use about 200 pounds dried.
You use 200 pounds.
Of dried elderberries, and I dry them myself.
Wow.
So there you can see.
When you say you use it, that you mean for you personally?
I use it for the business, so I make my elderberry kits. We're gonna go in the shop and I'll show you.
Okay, and so the rest of them you're selling as either frozen or whatever, and then these you're using for your
Products, value-added products.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Goodness, y'all have this place is really cool. What does that smell? It smells so good in here.
That's the elderberries dehydrated.
Is that what the smell is? It
In
smells
there.
like fresh, like
That's the elderberries dehydrated.
it smells really good.
So this in here is our shop. So I make my own soaps,
Oh, this is the store.
lotions. You can leave the door open.
Oh, sorry.
So you can see I make about 14 different kinds of soaps. I make my own soaps. And you can see I have an elderberry soap. I have a turmeric soap.
Yeah, that smells
Oatmeal, lavender. I make salves. Like with our comfrey, I make a comfrey muscle salve.
Wow.
Breathe easy salve.
You're making like essential oils as well?
No, I have a lot of people ask me for them. So the 3 main ones I always ask for, I just fill a couple of them up and put them on the shelf.
Okay.
Now I make my own lotions.
Oh, nice.
So I do have to buy my essential oils. And then, but like a pain bum, I broke my back as a teenager. That helps me a lot.
Oh, wow.
Over the winter, and I was playing with this for about 2 years to make a comfrey salve. I finally got and I don't want to buy it.
Sure.
So I want to grow my own comfrey. So I had enough comfrey now over the winter then that I was able to make my own salves because I infuse my oils with the comfrey.
Yeah.
And it takes sun infused about 6 weeks.
Wow.
You can do a hot infusion in a crock pot for 16 hours.
Okay.
But I find that the sun infusion is stronger than the one in the heat.
I see.
So, and then lovely skin is really good because frankincense is very healthy for our skin. Phil was really... Oh, I don't have any up there. Was really with his shoulder. It was really messed up. So I came together with a rosemary castor oil. And then everything organic. I infused my oil with our rosemary from outside. Sun infusion. And then I added some rosemary essential oil with it to the castor oil. But castor oil itself is very healthy for our body. It has a lot of ailments, and you can go ahead and look them up.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, funny story. When Mabel made this, I was sitting there drinking coffee, and I'm old school, okay?
Okay.
And she came out, she says, I got something to fix your shoulder with. And I said, well, what is it? She said, castor oil. I said, no, man. Grandmama used to cram it down me all the time. And I said, I will. I'll draw the line. Then she told me it was just a rub.
Just put it on.
Just rub it on. You don't have to take it.
Yeah, look at that.
I am not taking it.
Back in the old days. I mean, hey, that was tough. So.
And then I make my own herbal teas. I don't grow all the herbs yet.
Okay.
But I grow a lot. Like I grow my own mullein. And I dehydrate it and then put it in. And this is a pretty easy tea because it helps to open up your bronchial tubes.
Okay.
And then we have elderflower teas, elder hibiscus. And then here is our elderberry value-added products. So, and like this one right here is the elderberry kit.
Oh, very cool.
And if you just do elderberries and cinnamon and some clove, it's okay, but it's not that palatable for children.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't like that too much.
Too strong.
So if you go ahead and add some healthy herbs with it, like hibiscus, lemon, orange, clove, echinacea, that makes it very palatable. So a lot of children love it.
I see.
So, and they will drink it. It's very easy. A great salad dressing.
Oh, it's an awesome salad dressing.
When you want to use like this, if you want to just drink, make a nice elderberry tea.
Yeah.
You can use it like just an ounce or two and put it in a gallon of water. And it's a nice juice to drink. And very refreshing. You pour it over ice.
In there and make your ice cream.
And you're making that from the syrup. Make the syrup and then use that just to make a drink.
Yeah, just like 1 or 2. And you can, like in the whole gallon, just put 2-3 ounces in it.
I see.
This is our freeze dry.
Oh.
And so, and it come out of freeze dry. And it's got a oxygen tab in there to keep the moisture out.
Yep.
Mylar bag, so it lasts long. We've actually got a recipe card that tells you a few things that you can make with it. One of them being a shrub. A lot of young people don't know what a shrub is.
Oh, yeah, like the drink.
The drink.
Yeah.
Before soda pop, drinks, energy drinks, all that kind, the old people made shrubs. And they took any kind of fruit that they could have and they crushed it up and made it in with vinegar. And, and then the tonic water was put in later on in the time. They had the fizz to it.
I see.
But the early ones, they were made with vinegar, and they're really good.
Really?
And they're good and healthy for you.
That's crazy.
And then with the elderflowers, I dehydrate them too.
Okay.
And then I go ahead and make like the elderflower hibiscus tea or elderflower tea.
Very nice.
You know, so there's so many things you can make with and add more value to your products.
Awesome. Man, y'all have quite the thing going.
All things I had to learn.
Sure.
It was not like, poof, here it is. You go to the farmer's market, you talk to other people, went to the meet Terry Durham, watch different videos, what you can make
Very cool.
yourself. At first, it was just like elderberry syrup.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, there's a lot of regulations. So take the class, find the place to make it, all the good stuff.
I see.
So, and then we have tastings.
Oh, wow.
Now you can see I store some of my seeds. I trade with other people and I give them other stuff.
Yeah.
And then this order I got to make ready. It came in last night.
You guys started this whole operation in 2017?
I did. And then I met Phil in 2019.
Oh, okay.
The bees. I was called for a swarm removal at the plant, and I went up there, and it was early morning, and they were like, "You got to take the hive with you." I said, "Just call me back this afternoon." They were like, "Why?" I said, "Because you will have more bees coming to the same location from this hive because they're out foraging." So this right here is our elderberry fireside. You can read this one.
Oh, yeah.
This one down there.
Right here.
And from the 15 ingredients, 11 are off the farm.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So it has a little bit of a kick to it.
Yeah, fire cider. I know it tends to be strong. All right, guys. Let's see how this goes. It is good, but man, it's hot.
This is why it's called the fire cider. Children will not use that.
Nope.
But you can use it as a salad dressing.
It tastes really good.
Fantastic. Woo. And then this is our elderberry syrup.
Okay.
And a lot of those herbs come off the farm, like the ginger. We have a lemon tree on the other farm. Yeah. I refuse to make mine with sugar. I use honey.
Honey only?
Honey only.
We also
and
found out that lemon juice in the grocery stores has got too many preservatives in it.
So I won't use it. I only use fresh lemons.
So by
That's
just
delicious.
happening, I had a lemon tree that I didn't know I had. I thought it was a grapefruit.
Okay.
I drug it around for years, and one day I just got mad. And I said, I ain't gonna drag you around anymore. And I figured out that the north side of the house was on the front of the house, so I took the lemon tree, which I thought at that time was a grapefruit tree, and I planted beside the air conditioning unit so that the fan would blow through it in the wintertime and keep it warm. And it took off.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally taller than the house. And Mabel and I go over there it's usually November, and we harvest like just huge amounts of these biggest lemons.
We harvested 2 bushels.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's past. I was very excited.
That's awesome.
Now, they look ugly because they're really bumpy.
Sure. But they're natural.
They're all natural. They've never been sprayed. So I guess that's why they're bumpy.
That's why they're ugly.
And why they're ugly, but good. Oh, they are very yummy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, and this one is another value-added product. So we use our honey and then freeze-dried elderberries. We grind them down. And then you whip them and you let them rest for about 30, 40 minutes because all the little seeds will start coming to the top. And we skim them off.
And we'll feed that.
And the process is about 4 times.
And we feed that back to the bees.
That way, it will not be crunchy.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Wow.
So nothing goes to waste, right?
Oh, man.
That's yummy.
That's good.
That stuff's good in teas. It's good on bagels. It's good on waffles. I mean,
that is tasty.
And it's an really easy way to get a dose of both good honey, raw honey, and elderberry. You know, you're not going to be a millionaire. You do what you do because you enjoy it. It's healthy. You live life out there. Your hair may turn gray. You'll able to get a beard.
Yes.
And if you do, then you make beard cream.
That's right.
I like it.
Well, guys, y'all have been awesome. Y'all have been super hospitable. I really appreciate y'all taking the time out of a busy work day. And
Yep.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you
And
for coming.
guys, if you guys watching, make sure you look them up. Look up their Facebook page, right?
Yep.
Crafty Mabry
Crafty Mabry.
LLC. Yep.
Yep.
And then give them a follow if you're in the local area. If you're anywhere near Lake City,
Yep.
then come on out, buy some of their stuff.
2621 Patty Road.
All right.
And if you're a Harvest House, come spend the night with us.
Harvest House. Yep.
Yes. Yep. We have them come, and we have people that come and learn from us. We actually got a guy that's coming down from Nebraska. Nebraska. He's want to learn bees.
Oh, nice.
And he's traveling down, and he's going to come on a day that we're going to go in the hive. So
cool.
we do some pretty cool stuff. We give them a farm tour. They come and shop with us. We have some that stay an extra couple of days. We don't mind. And they learn. And they come back. We have people, we have actually, and I know you've got time left, but we have got people that's come from Europe now. We actually had a guy come from Switzerland. He had traveled the world 4 times.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up here at Crafty Mabry.
That's crazy.
In a Toyota Land Cruiser, right-hand drive, deep water folding kit.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
So come see us here at Crafty Mabry.
All right, guys, you heard it. Till next time, take it easy.
There we go.